I think this is our fourth or fifth episode of Better with Therapy. I'm sitting here with Reggie Mason. I appreciate you coming, former sheriff of Worcester County, also a Vietnam veteran. I'm very happy he's here, and I also definitely call you a friend.
We are.
So I probably met you. I don't know, like 2007 or something like that.
It was way back when you were on Route 50.
Yeah, when we were on Route 50. So I'll ask you some general questions. Usually the premise of this is anything physical, mindful, or uplifting. So I know a little bit about you, but you were born on the Eastern Shore, right? Where were you born?
Yes, I was born in Pocomoke City. And I was the baby of five in the family. Everybody was pretty much teenagers or one brother. He worked for your father-in-law in D.C. He was a D.C. policeman, my brother.
That's right. I remember that story, yeah.
And
he worked for Kathleen's dad.
Yes, he did. And he spent 23 years on the force, retired, come home, and was riding down the highway, eating these, them little boxes of raisins.
The Raisinets?
And one got caught.
The regular raisins,
and one got caught, and he passed out at the wheel, turned over, and ambulance from Chickatig happened to be coming along and stopped and pulled him out of the burning vehicle. And his little dog saved the little dog. And later, he died the next day at the hospital. But I always thought here he spent 23 years in one of the roughest areas in D.C. and come home, retired, and died in an accident.
Yeah, made it through his whole career.
Yes.
I'm very sad to hear that. I remember you telling me that. I actually forgot part of that.
I wanted to bring a picture one day and show Kathleen to see
show
him in his uniform.
Yeah.
How good he looked.
Yeah, that would be great.
He was a good boy.
That would be good. And so you have five. You're the youngest of five.
I have a brother right now. He looked after me. He was a teenager. He'll be 91 this year. Wow. He lost his wife 4 years ago. He gets up every morning at daybreak, cuts tree limbs, cuts his yard, and stays out until dark and comes in. I call him every night, check on him.
Where does he live?
He lives in Pocomoke.
Okay.
But his son lives in Florida, Brighton, Florida, and his grandchildren live in Tampa, and one lives in Georgia. But he's got good friends. One fireman and a close friend of ours grew up down the street from us named Bobby Ayers, looks after him, and Bobby takes him and they're real good to him. They only live a few miles from him.
So what was it like growing up in Pocomoke in the 50s, right?
Oh gosh, Pocomoke! You wouldn't believe Pocomoke downtown. Sheriff Matt Christofoli asks me all kinds of questions about the history of Pocomoke, and I can tell him that he could not believe Pocomoke at one time. We had a Montgomery Ward store, 2-story high. We had a J.C. Penney, 2-story high. We had a little Sears store. We had Acme Market. We had Ann P. grocery stores downtown. We had 3 car dealerships. Pocomoke was out of this world when I was a little kid. No crime. You never heard of any crime when I was a little teeny. But my dad was, at the time when I was born, he was the boss of the fertilizer factory. They had a big fertilizer factory in Pocomoke and Snow Hill. Boats used to bring up the fertilizer and stuff. But Pocomoke was beautiful at that time. Beautiful.
What jobs did your parents have?
Well, first of all, when I was born, Dad was, like I said, but before that, he had farms. Him and my mom, and they lost them during the Depression. The banks closed on them.
Oh.
And they owed some money. And most of my uncles and my grandparents, they owned from, outside of Pocomoke, almost Stockton. They had about 12 farms at the time. And but my dad, and I worked, later on, I worked on his fishing boats with him. And that was hard work. Let me tell you, people don't realize watermen work hard.
Yeah, in the bay? Were you in the bay or the ocean?
I was in the bay, and you get up early, 4 o'clock, and you get down there and you go out and you get in about 1 o'clock because the crab buyers are usually there by 1 o'clock. And that's hard work. And then in the winter, we would clam, drudge. You put 2 drudges over and you go around, you put a pole down, you keep going around the circle. You got to pull up all that mud and the clams and wash them. And crabs ain't no fun. Crabs can bite.
Right.
No
Well, yeah,
fun.
gloves. Do you have gloves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can bite through them too.
Yeah, yeah. So you were doing definitely some labor on those boats.
Yes.
And early mornings.
My dad believed in hard work.
Was this just in the summer or
summer?
Yeah,
Summer
not before
on the
school.
boats.
Not before school.
But then I went to work in the winter on a milk truck. I got up 4 o'clock in the morning, and I worked on the milk truck till 8. Come home, took a bath, went to school at 9.
Wow.
I did that 6 days a week. On Saturdays, we would do double delivery because Sunday we'd be off. So if you got 1 quart of milk, you got 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Arthur Wilson was my boss. And you didn't walk to the house, you ran with the bottle. And I'll never forget one boy one day he was running and I heard Mr. Wilson saying a few words and I looked and he was running, he had eggs, and they were dropping out on the ground as he ran. But my dad, after he lost everything, he believed us kids worked. My other brother, Wayne, the one that was a D.C. policeman, he worked on a milk truck. My sister worked in a local store there. And my brother, he delivered papers. Dad didn't, you earned your, what money? I made $20 on a milk truck. So when I got older, working on the milk truck, I bought all the beer for the boys.
What hobbies did you have growing up?
Gosh, really? I was a big Baltimore Colt fan when I was young until they moved. It really hurt me. John Unitas was the greatest.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I looked up to him. And baseball, I wore number 7, Mickey Mantle.
All right.
I could bat right hand, left hand, and I could play every position in baseball. And I hated catching though. Catching, boy, you get them foul tips and the bat hit you in the mask. But sports was big in hunting. My dad was a big hunter.
For duck or deer?
Duck, deer, everything. I mean, now today I don't hunt. When I became sheriff, I felt my duty was to be at the office. I wasn't taking no time off. I quit hunting. But back then, that was every one of us boys hunted. My brother, 2 brothers, and me.
So in high school, you told me earlier you were playing, what did you say, baseball?
Baseball. I played soccer, captain of the soccer team. People don't realize, back when I played soccer, you kicked the goal, that was 2 points. Penalty kick was 1 point. Now today, everything's 1 point.
It was
but
2
back
points?
2 points back then.
Really?
You would see a soccer score 10-2 or whatever. But back in my day, you kicked outside, you kicked goal, 2 points.
What?
I kicked penalty kicks, 1 point. I played left inside on the front line.
Mm-hmm.
And I scored a lot of goals with my head, bouncing it in.
Oh, that's huge, especially on corner kicks.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Boy, you
Yeah.
got to be. Anybody's a good corner kicker. A wing, usually a left wing or right wing, do the corner kicking, and that's how you score.
Yeah, there was a couple years ago when my older
Yeah.
son was playing at Decatur. A huge amount of their points were from a corner kick, and then one of
Yes.
the I think it was one of the defenders actually. I can't remember exactly. He would just head it in.
Yeah.
He would just aim it for that in the middle, and the guy would head it because he was really tall.
My mother, when I was in Vietnam, back in the day, the Salisbury Times put all the box scores in their newspaper. They had their baseball, had what you did. I hit a 2-run homer in Chrisville, and then if I scored a goal, and she put everything in my yearbook. I'll show it to you sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
And when I was in Vietnam, she took her time, clipped all them articles out of them old papers she saved. And but basketball was my worst sport. They let me steal the ball. I was little. Everybody was 6 foot tall. My cousin, a relative of mine, he was 6'9". And so I played 2 years of junior varsity, and I played only 1 varsity. I said,
You're done.
I was done. I said, hey,
So in high school, doing all these sports and activities, what types of injuries did you have?
Gosh, none really back then. I did get in a car accident, and the two men saved my life. Josh Thompson and Herman Taylor. They're not here today, but they saved my life. They told me I died twice from Pocomoke to Princess Anne, and they got me in. And Dr. Fisher saved my life, and he got killed a week later coming home from a Baltimore Colt game. Him and several doctors got in a car accident and died.
Wow.
But he saved my life. And they said I'd never play sports again. But I had a coach named Phil Slacum from Salisbury, our coach. And he took in, he worked with me, and I had support from teachers. Mr. Floyd Bassett, he passed away recently. Mr. Jack Dalby, he passed away recently. And Mr. Tom Dorman, he lives here in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
They were big supporters to see me play sports again. And I played.
So after this accident, what kind of injuries did you sustain?
I had head injuries. I had shoulder and leg. They didn't think I'd be able to walk. And
So you didn't do any like formal physical therapy like you've done with us here.
no,
Didn't
have nothing back
They
then.
didn't have it, right? How did you recover from that yourself? Like what did you do?
My coach, he worked with me on getting me physical.
Just kind of doing like getting back to running,
sit-ups and leg, different things in the gym. And but
so you did it on your own and with the assistance of 3 or 4 mentors.
I came back, and I was a wild kid in high school. Drank beer, raced cars, and anyway. I hung around mostly with people older than me. Mm-hmm. And 5 of the seniors went to join the Vietnam War. And we all went to Philadelphia, and we partied the whole time there and never did sign up. I missed the big tests at the end of the year, and I had to repeat the 12th grade. I had to go 1 hour of school in my 12th, 1 hour, because we had work programs back then too. Some of the kids got off a half a day, they could go work. But I had to make up English because I missed out on the test. And
because of you just missed it.
Yeah, and but I still got top athlete. They selected me top athlete, friendliest senior, and laziest. And I was telling you, the ladder, they had success at the top. That me and this girl were not doing what we could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was selected for creative writing by the Board of Education. I wrote a story, and they loved it. And they said, I told you you could have done a lot better. And I said, I know I could, but I partied. And but she went on to work NASA. And I've had a great career because of certain people that got behind me.
With the support. Because you only need if you see the support from a couple people, it can really help you.
Oh gosh, I've had Ocean City, the Marine Corps. I wanted to be a Marine, and got beat one time in Paris Island. I gave the drill instructor wrong time to get up. Drill instructor Farwash before me gave me the wrong time, and we were getting prepared because they thought China was going to come in the Vietnam War. So we weren't getting much sleep, 2-4 hours sleep a night because they wanted us to be ready. And I woke him up hour late, and he beat me. Then he beat all the other fire watch on duty, all 4 of them.
Wouldn't beat you like...
He picked me right up. Corporal Morgan was...
Oh, physically.
Yeah, he was 6'6". He weighed probably 225. And I was a little guy then. I was a little teeny fellow. And he picked me up.
How old were you?
Gosh, I was 18. He slapped me and put me down. Every time I tried to explain to him, I got beat again. So I shut up, finally.
So you knew that was part of the
training.
You knew it was... How was your decision to join the Marines? How did that happen? Did you know that?
My brothers were Army. My brother, the D.C. policeman, he served 17 years in the National Guard in Pocomoke in D.C. My brother was in Korea. My oldest brother, he looked after me when I was a little fella, baby. And
because your parents were working.
Yeah. My mom and dad worked. My aunt took care of me across the street, really. Mm-hmm. My Aunt Evie, she was like a second mother. She took care of me while Mom and Dad worked. That was my dad's sister. And, it was hard. But
so you saw your parents maybe at the beginning of the day and at the very end of the day.
That's it. When they come home, I'd run across the street to Mom. Mm-hmm. And then Dad went away on the boats for a while too. But the Marine Corps, my cousins were in the Marines. I had cousins in the paratroopers, and my brother-in-law was Navy. And I said, I'm going to go to the Marines. And it's the best thing ever happened to me. They straightened me out. They took a wild child that was spinning and burning tires downtown Pocomoke while the police slept.
Way different than you are right now.
Yeah, I would do that. I'd go, they would sleep at night and we'd go downtown and drag race.
So I listened to your speech on YouTube this morning, the one you gave at Ocean Pines, the Vietnam Memorial at Ocean Pines. And I wanted to ask you if it's okay, some of your experiences there. I know you talked about the Battle of Khe Sanh.
Khe Sanh, well, when I first went to Vietnam, I went to school before I went, in administration school. I stood up in class. The only Marine ever do this, they say, probably. I stood up in class, and the lieutenant said, what can I do for you? Private. I said, sir, I didn't join the Marine Corps to come to this school. I joined the Marine Corps to fight. Oh, is that right? Private? How would you like to be a cook? I sat down. So I got to Vietnam. I was assigned to one of the top colonel, Colonel Hammerback, greatest colonel, him and a lieutenant colonel named Alexander. I thought the world of him. And I was assigned their driver and bodyguard, 4 of us. We had driven them all over Vietnam, from Da Nang north. We were stationed in Da Nang. And then we moved to Phu Bai, which is further towards the DMZ. And I drove them, and at nighttime I sat on the rice paddies and set up claymore mines and manned an M60 machine gun.
What's DMZ?
The DMZ is separating South Vietnam from
North Vietnam. I'm sorry.
And I kept putting in transfers to go to the grunts. I said I joined the Marine Corps to be in the infantry. And Lieutenant Colonel Alexander wouldn't do it. He thought me as a son. He didn't have a son. He had a daughter going to Kansas University. And I think he thought so much of me. And Colonel Hammerback, what a great leader. He lost his son in Vietnam, Lieutenant Hammerback. But anyway, I decided to do a second tour of Vietnam. I'd done 13 months. And I went to a grunt unit. I'll never forget, I walked in that day, and Staff Sergeant Pear, great sergeant, he was head of S1. He says, so you're that guy from the division? I said, yes, sir. You want to be a grunt here? I said, yes, sir. He said, you're crazy. He said, we got the highest casualty rate in Vietnam right now, the 1-9. 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, we were nicknamed the Walking Dead. And I said, that's what I want to do. He says, okay, you're going in the field casualty unit. And every one of them been wounded that had come. You got 1 Purple Heart, you stayed in the field and everything. You got 2, they brought you back and put you doing something around. And all the boys that I replaced have been wounded at least once, maybe twice. And I went in that with Big John Fletcher. He was big, big boy. But we were at Don Ha then. I'd been Da Nang, Phu Bai, this was Don Ha. My first battle was Con 10. I couldn't believe it. They told me to jump out the chopper. We're about 8 foot off in the ground. And incoming was hitting everywhere. And I thought I was a tough boy. And I jumped out of that chopper and I ran for the first bunker I could find. We had a lot of casualties. Next, after we went back to Don Ha for a few months, then we moved to a place called Camp Evans. At nighttime, I had to go out on 2-man listening posts, hundreds of yards from our perimeter. I was scared to death. I thought I'd never return. Some did not. They did not come back. And I was scared to death. So I'll never forget one morning, I come in from the listening post. Sergeant Pear told me, get your gear ready. You're going to a place, it's all hell's broke out. It's called Quezon. I said, yes, sir. My two buddies, Raymond Lindbach, he was from Colorado. He'd been wounded twice. He was chaplain's bodyguard now because he'd been wounded twice. Mm-hmm. My little buddy, Tony Laura, little Mexican kid from Arizona, little Tony, he'd been wounded once. They were coming home, so they wouldn't send them to Quezon. So anyway, I went to Quezon. First night we landed, there ran a machine gunner. My ears today still. But the machine gunner was opening up like hell when we landed at the airstrip. And
from the airplane?
Yeah, well, we went by helicopter.
By helicopter.
And first night, me and Big John the only thing I could hear was hissing in the jungle, snakes. You can hear. And we got in a big firefight that night. I threw 10 grenades and emptied about 3 or 4 rounds or magazines. And I said, Big John, he said, what? I said, I don't know if we hit anybody, but I don't hear no snakes.
Yeah.
And we did kill, I didn't, but we killed 2 cobras in the jungle.
Oh,
and I was scared to death of snakes. But good Lord looked after me. And anyway, we took in the worst day for me, 2 worst days for me at Quezon was my buddy Bill Hanley got assigned to our unit because we had so many casualties. Me and Big John couldn't handle them all. And we took in, we had a little hill behind us. And Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell told Captain Radcliffe put a platoon of Marines up there. And they decided to put Bill Hanley up there as the casualty man because he could call in airstrikes, mm-hmm. and I couldn't call in airstrikes. Mm-hmm. I didn't have no knowledge of that. And they got hit February the 8th by, they figured at least 1,500 North Vietnamese hit those 64 Marines. And Bill Hanley was one of the ones that died that morning, I found. And I had 27 killed that morning. And I had, I don't know how many, I'd say at least only maybe 4 or 5 out of 64 Marines maybe didn't get hit. But the rest of them, they got overrun. And it took us 6 hours to take the hill back. Captain Radcliffe, greatest leader, man, he was something. He led the charge to take the hill back. And one of the worst days probably at Quezon for me was I got word of a missing Marine. We didn't get his dog tags. Me and Big John had so many casualties on our hill. I was on the rock quarry, they called it. And didn't get a set of dog tags. They sent me into Quezon Med Center. He wasn't there. They put me on a chopper, flew me to Phu Med Center. He wasn't there. They put me on a C-130, flew me to Da Nang. Just as I got a Gray's registration, they were packing him up, sent him home, and he was one young Marine, 19 years old. And
because you always your job was to get the dog tags of everyone that
dog tags, and the ones that died right there, grabbed their wallet and give them to the company commander later. Mm-hmm. After I radioed in at night in my trench, in my hole, I would radio in their dog tag number, and S1 would see who was wounded, what Marine, and what. And so anyway, I looked, I took his wallet and a set of dog tags. And I got on the plane C-130 for Quezon. In the field, you never have time to look at that stuff. I opened up his wallet, and he had a wife, 2 little kids. One was probably 2, one was just a baby. And it tore me up. And but anyway, Quezon, I came home after Quezon, and the greatest thing in the world has ever happened to me. Well, one great thing anyway. Mm-hmm. My mother wrote me every day. I got 20. You saw it, 24 letters.
Yeah, I saw that on this morning on the speech.
She is the greatest mom in the world. I'm telling you. And the 2 boys I said goodbye to, 50 years to the day. That's the way the Lord works. My wife was looking up. She says, 1/9, The Walking Dead is having a reunion in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And I said, gosh. I said, great day. I should maybe go. She said, I think you should. And she said, what was Raymond's last name? And Tony. And I told her Laura. And she says, and Linebach, Raymond's the chaplain of the 1/9 Association.
Oh, wow.
I got on the phone. I called him. I said, Ray, who's this? That's the way he talked.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Yeah.
I said, it's Reggie. And he paused for a minute. He says, no way in hell. You were killed at Quezon. And come find out, my replacement was killed 4 days after I left. And he says, you were killed at Quezon. I said, nope. I said, how's Tony? Here's his phone number. Call him. We're going to D.C. We're coming to see you. I called little Tony. Well, he had 12 brothers and sisters. He was out on the town. He comes home. Here's my message. I said, Tony, it's Reggie. I'm alive. And he ran up down the street telling all his relatives.
So this is how many years later?
Yeah, 50 years to the day that we said goodbye.
And then when this get together was how long ago?
This is in 2018 we got together.
Still not that far.
No.
Like 6 years ago.
And we talk to each other every once in a while.
That's great.
We call each other. But that was one of the greatest things. God brought us together.
Yeah, and the fact you can like reconnect with them because you guys are like friends for life, even if you don't talk to each other that often.
Yeah, the last time Raymond got hit, he'd gone through the outdoor the train and he got hit in the rear. Shrapnel got him. I never let him live that one down. I said, how's your bumper?
So while you were going through all this, and I mean, the individuals that were getting injured, maybe not killed, what was I always think of things as far as rehab or therapy. How did they recover from like the broken leg, or like what did they have out there to help someone recover from the injuries where you could still function but not really well?
I'm going to tell you this. If it wasn't for the medics, the helicopter pilots, and the doctors and nurses, we would have had thousands and thousands and thousands more killed in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And the greatest people I give so much credit to is Graves Registration. They're all branches of service. When the bodies are brought to them, they have to clean them up and send them home. And that's, I said, boy, Lord help them. God bless them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that, just hearing those,
I got a lot
stuff you've gone through.
I got a lot of pictures I took at Quezon. I always carry a little Instamatic camera. And I got a lot of pictures of airstrikes.
You brought some of that. I saw some of that one time when you were coming to therapy. So with all that you've done, what injuries have you sustained yourself from all that?
Well, really the biggest thing for me was when I first came home. I was stationed at Headquarters Marine Corps, and I'd come home on weekends and I drank. Vietnam really got to me there. Mm-hmm. And then when I got in the Marine Corps, I applied for the Maryland State Police, and I was too little. You had to be 5'10". Now look at them, they're babies. And I drank about 3 or 4 months. And I said, I got to quit this. I got to quit. I got to move on from Vietnam here. And I wouldn't join nothing for 20-some years. I finally joined the American Legion, and I just wanted to, stop. But it does me good. I've spoke at every American Legion in this county. I've done Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and the Vietnam Wall. When I did the Memorial Day over there, a writer from Ocean Pines writes, he wanted me to do a book. He said, I think you could do a book, Reggie, after your speech today. Yeah. It made me feel good.
No, I think you could too, just talking about what we've done now. How about when I first met you for, was it your knee?
Knee.
And
I was referred to you by Deputy Sheriff Barry Bringham at work.
Barry Brittingham was, that's what we were talking about. He was probably the first one from the Sheriff's Department that came to us.
Yep. Route 50.
And then since then, we've seen quite a few of the officers.
Route 50 you were at, you and Kathleen, and wonderful job. Fixed me right up, and you always have. Every injury I've come to you, and I've been to the doctors, been operated on, and knee and everything, and come to you, and you get me back on my feet. And the doctors even say therapy. could be a big point.
The nice thing is it's a conservative approach, and if you can get better in physical therapy without having surgery, then it's the best way to do it.
Oh, yes. You all kept me from having, they went to operate on my left knee. And I've come to you and you got me back on my feet. And I said, I'm not getting it operated on.
Yeah, just strengthening that thigh muscle. And then we did a lot of strengthening and stretching. And you actually did, I think you did like your exercises at home.
Yeah.
Like you're structured where a lot of people, unfortunately, not everyone, but a lot of people don't do their exercises at home. Because just doing it in here is not going to cut it.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, the time you walk in this door, Sandy and the girls, I don't know, Sandy was here back then when I was coming.
She was. She's still here now. She's here today.
And Sandy and all them would, you felt at home. And then when you got in there, you got working out, and your people would talk to you and Kathleen, and I can't think of the boy I met coming in the door a while ago. Mark, that's right, Mark. Yep. Everybody here, and everybody's been great to me. I highly recommend it, and you've kept me from some operations, that's for sure.
Well, that's great. Now, also the fact you've gone through the therapy, you get here, you've always been on time.
Yeah, I'll make sure of that.
You're always on time.
I don't want to hold you all up.
You come in, you do what's needed, and you do your stuff at home, and you've definitely it's probably from all the training you've had in the past, that this might seem easy compared to what you've been through. Well, what about your wrist? What was it the last time we saw you? Was it your wrist or your?
It was you checked out my hand.
Your hand,
because I'd had both hands operated on. Corporal Tom.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Dr. Beck had operated on both hands, and he told me I need be good to get therapy, and you all took care.
And how are they now?
Oh, great. Once in a while I might have, if I'm riding all day on the grass cutter, my fingers just one every once in a while, but I'm great. You guys you fixed me up, and if I need help again, I know where to come.
No, I appreciate it. We always try to make the process easy. I think historically, people will go to the doctor, and if you have a great doctor to go to, that's really a good thing to do. We also try to make it easy. So if you need to come to physical therapy, a lot of times, which people don't know, in Maryland, we have direct access where you can actually come straight to physical therapy. Most of the people can. Most insurances, you're allowed to go straight to physical therapy. And if we need to send someone to the doctor, we have.
But you, like I said, Dr. Bontempo, he operated on that knee, and he told me to go to therapy, and I came to you. You took care of that. Then I was getting 2 shots from Dr. G over here next door to Berlin Animal Hospital for my spine. And he told me therapy would be good for me. Came to you all them years. I haven't had shots.
That's great.
That's been, 3 or 4 years or more. And he told me, he said, now, Reggie, I've given you enough shots. You go to therapy.
How old are you now?
39 holding.
You're doing well.
I'm getting up there.
You don't have to tell me, but you're doing well.
I'm in there. I tell everybody that, and they laugh.
Yeah. No.
But I said, one good thing, I said, my wife's 10 years younger, so she can take care of me.
Yeah, that's great.
I've been lucky. I said, I got a great wife. I got a great son, a great daughter-in-law, two great grandchildren that I love to death, and I've been lucky. And like I said, my mom, when she passed away, I was looking in her Bible. She would write, stay up at night and write notes and put in her Bible. She'd ask God, and I looked at the time. She would put, she would quit at 2:30 while my dad, she said, Harold is to bed. And my mom, Margaret, she would take she said, God, please look after my little boy in Vietnam. And she did that. And we found all that. Me and my brothers and sisters, we all found that when she died in her Bible.
Wow.
Yeah, she prayed for me.
She
and
did.
That man up there saved me so many times. I don't know why, but I thank him every day.
You do a lot of, a lot of praying.
Oh, every night, and I'll tell you this: when I was at Quezon, I was a tough boy. coming up. I took up for people. I didn't like to see people picked on in school. I took up for them. I didn't like anyone. I don't care, religion, color, or whatever. They weren't going to be picked on when I was right. And I could fight. My dad put boxing gloves on us boys, and every one of us could handle ourselves.
Yeah.
And
you don't see it as much anymore. There's not as much regular just disagreements in fighting. It's usually, it seems like it's always handled with like a gun or a weapon.
But at Quezon, Big John, he was 6'4", by 240 pounds. We both cried because it's nothing. If it hadn't been for the B-52 bombers, I wouldn't be here today. They saved us at Quezon. Friend of mine lives in Ocean Pines, Ray Updike. He was at Quezon with the 26 Marines. They got hit every night too. But they were the first ones to get in a real big battle, and we went in to help them. But we cried. There's times we cried, and the earth is just, you're in your, well, we had 3-foot fighting holes, but then we dug other tunnels down in the ground so I could get in there at night. And we had a pet mouse.
You didn't have a lot of sleep.
And Big John, big as he was scared to death of that mouse. And I pet it. But rats and snakes.
Yeah, I don't like rats or snakes. So what years were you sheriff?
Sheriff, I was chief deputy for 23 years. One good thing, I want to mention one man. When I came back, I got hired at Ocean City Police Department. Mr. Chief Hudson hired me, but he soon left. Chief Dugan from Baltimore County came in. One of the greatest people I ever worked for in my entire life, Chief Dugan. He took in, sent us to college at nights when you made rank. I went to probably 100 police schools in 9 years. I was at seminars everywhere, learning. And when he stepped down as chief, I went to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Gallion from Pocomoke hired me. He knew me when I was a little kid. And then Dan McAllister became sheriff. He appointed me chief deputy in 1984. And Sheriff Martin got elected in 1994, and he took in, 94. He took in, made me his chief deputy. Usually sheriffs brings their own chief deputy.
Oh, yeah.
And so 23 years, I retired, and sheriff called me up and said, "How would you like to come back?" I said, "Well, I'm sorry." He asked me to come in his house in Berlin and asked me to come back, and the guy I brought in to take my place, Dodds, he was great. He said, "I'm willing to step back if you'll come back." Now you don't find many people like that.
To be the
chief, me to be chief again.
Chief again.
And he went back to a colonel rank. And I came back for 1 year, got talked in running for sheriff. You find out who your friends are in politics.
Yeah.
Believe me, it hurt some, to hear people talk about you, not good. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't know me because I cared about my people. And you can, today, when they see me, they hug me, my deputies, and even the ones that haven't worked for me. And you're only good as the people around you. I've seen some chief police throughout counties forget where they came from. I didn't. I was a low man on the pole in Ocean City. I worked up to acting lieutenant. I was sergeant. They made me chief Dugan acting lieutenant. Went to sheriff's office, chief deputy, or deputy sheriff. I trained police dogs. Chief Dugan sent me to Baltimore. Dogs were smarter than the handlers. I'm telling you. I trained 7 for us in Ocean City. Mayor Kelly built a training center on Keyser Point Road for me, for the K-9 training. And I trained Salisbury, PD, and I trained Wycomico at the time. And like I said, the dogs, they knew what. And the guys, I said, hey, just like tracking, get sweaty, putting towels in, lay them down, you take the dog to the first towel, and then you go on and so forth. probably one of the hardest thing is getting him to walk beside you.
Yeah.
You see people being pulled along down the street, but getting them to heel.
So they would train.
Yeah.
You went to school to train. You went to training to train the dogs.
Yep. And my dog Prince saved my life in Ocean City. A guy came at me with a 12-inch butcher knife, stabbed my dog, and I shot him in the leg. But nothing was ever said about Ocean City. He didn't want in the papers at the time. Back then, he had no bad publicity. But he cut my dog, but my dog lived. He died on the police force, 10 years old. But I had bought a puppy, and I trained to know, and he went with me to the sheriff's office. I was first canine man, patrolled the whole county.
Wow.
Then my buddies, Tom Jones, I trained him at nighttime because we couldn't get off work. I trained him at night and showed him what to do. He did a lot of it on his own, and he became the second canine man in the county. Then Harry Cullen was third, and Dave Bloxam fourth. But sheriff's office started growing with canines. And let me tell you, bomb dogs, God's sake, they're great. The deputies in the schools, I put deputies in the schools. That was one thing. I would get up every morning when school was in as sheriff. I'd travel to Shaw School, sit there and watch the kids come in and out, watch my deputy, because I knew they'd be the first one. I had each commander, my command, come to Berlin, West. I had Lieutenant Schreier take West Ocean City Elementary. And I had each school covered in the mornings and afternoons by a commander, all the way to Pocomo, because I was so worried about these kids. I didn't want nothing to happen to them or the teachers. And but I would, and finally parents started seeing who I was in there in my unmarked Tahoe. They started waving to me. But when school was in, I probably got 6 hours sleep because I was up. And my secretary in the afternoon would come and say, "Sheriff, it's time to go see the kids." I'd pull out by 1:30. And in the mornings, I stopped after I left there to see the farmers. I wanted to see how they were doing. Yeah. And I had a lot of friends that, I cared about the people of this county.
I know.
I wanted to make it safe for everyone. I had my deputies, gosh, I felt sorry for people that worked at nights and, like 7-Elevens and stuff like that. And I said, make sure you're in and out of them places at night. And but they did a great job.
How do you think Worcester County is now?
Great. We got great young sheriff, Matt. We talk. He invites me to functions. He did it all. He was Chuck Martin, Sheriff Martin, made him dare officer in the schools. He taught about drugs, all kinds of stuff. I'd go up to the school and look out there, and he'd be out there playing soccer and everything else with the kids. The kids loved him. I'd never heard one kid. I heard more kids say when he ran for sheriff, said, "Sheriff Mason, you're supporting him, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, I am." Said, "Well, I am, because he played soccer and he did this with me." And he's great with the children.
You're talking about Matt.
Yeah, Matt Christofoli. And and Matt, he told me, we had a long talk when I did that speech on Vietnam. Young Matt told me when his dad served in Vietnam. Matt was 4 years old. His dad was with the 101st Airborne. They lived in New Jersey at the time. When he come home, he couldn't take it. He got hung on different types of drugs and stuff, and he died at 28 years old.
Oh, that's awful.
And Matt's grandfather and grandmother and mother raised him. They moved to Annapolis. His mom retired from shock trauma. She was one of the head nurses in there. And Matt told me, he says, "Will you please tell people in your speech that?" And I did. And he cried. He was about 10 yards from me, but he wanted me to let people know what it's like for these people that return home from the wars. And it is tough.
Well, that was a great speech. So if anyone hasn't seen it, you can go on YouTube. I just went on it this morning. I went on YouTube. I put Reggie Mason and Ocean Pines, and it came up. I appreciate you. I want to thank you for your service. God bless you and your family, Reggie.
Oh, God, I want to thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Hey, you kept this old body going, bud.
I appreciate it.
And you all been great to me, and I know where to come.
Thanks.
And I thank you all. And I thank the citizens of Worcester County for supporting me and looking after me, and I hope I helped them some kind of way.
You helped us a lot.
Ah.